Welcome to the podcast. You're listening to Tea Time with Turbo and the Squirrel. It's me, Turbo, zoom, zoom, and with me, the Squirrel. Not bad. Not bad. I didn't decide if it's tea as in the beverage or golf. I
think it's open-ended, right?
It's open-ended. Our main name is Connor vs. Cobb, but we're not allowed to change it. But colloquially, they're calling us Tea Time with Turbo and the Squirrel in the streets.
I thought they were calling us Reasonable Takes.
Reasonable Takes. You're right. I get it mixed up with my other podcast.
Unoffensive Angles with Ryan
unoffensive angles. Hey, Squirrel, how's your relationship with your wife, Amy, going?
You know, as usual, it's going great. And as usual, I don't know if there's ever going to be a time where we'll stop talking about it. But I look forward to that point. I always feel like if your relationship's going great, then you probably don't need to be talking about it. You can talk about other things.
Yes.
You know, I have a lot of different interests. She has a lot of different interests. Why can't we talk about something like that? Why do we always have to talk about a relationship, especially if it's going well? Why? It'd be like no one goes to see a marriage counselor when everything's going well. Not to say that we're not seeing a marriage counselor, but that's basically how it feels. Like, why do we have to talk about it so much when it's going well? She's like, she's always saying something like, isn't it great being in this wonderful, unconditional love relationship? And I'm like, yes. God,
yes. Why are you saying
fine.
it? Huh? What do you want from me?
I'm trying to watch freaking NBA.
Hey, Nick.
It drives me crazy.
I dare you to angle your microphone toward your mouth. It has the button.
The trick
there.
is that it's going to hit up against this box.
You don't have to move the tripod. You just hit the button and you can swivel it like that.
This little orange button right here?
Yeah. And you can just move the top of it.
Yeah.
There it is. So,
you're so condescending when it comes to the mic. You're like one of those people when I was growing up that was cool about everything. Everything. Super cool, chill, like a pacifist. But if they were losing in Street Fighter 2, they would throw the controller against a brick wall. That's who you clearly were. You'd accuse John Madden of cheating. You were cool in every other part of your life. It's like, Madden's fucking cheating. I juked.
It's accurate. It's accurate. I once threw a weight, but it doesn't matter. Listen to this. Do you recall our podcast last week? I'm cutting all that. Do you remember our podcast from last week?
Yes.
It was clean, right? It was squeaky clean. Nothing objectionable. We're trying to please our overlords at YouTube. Guess what? Immediately rejected it and said it is what is their word? Not shocking content. Again, it was. Wow. I mean, it could have played on Nickelodeon.
I mean, you're Mr. America's Got Talent over there. I don't understand how anyone could think that you're
last comic standing. But
anything. Well, you were also on America's Got Talent.
Well, we had pretty much the same experience there, which we should not go into.
Either way, it doesn't. Point is that you could easily, without making really any edits to your material, get on a network show. Yes. So that means you're clean. You're clean. You're very, very clean. So I don't understand how they can do this to us, just without even giving us a chance.
The crazy thing is I've always considered, Google owns YouTube, and I've always considered Google less bad than Meta. Meta's at least letting our podcast run, They're not blocking us on Instagram. But who cares, man? You know what? Life's about
I
PTA
care a little
meetings.
bit. No, I care a little bit. It bothers me.
It bothers me too.
It does bother me. It's like it's
weird
immediate rejection.
Yeah.
Like Ellis Island, you got all your stuff together. You got your passports. Yeah. You're not lying about anything. Your papers are in order. Nope. Go back. Get back on the ship. You're going back.
All these clowns flew to DC for January 20th this year, and they're like up on the dais, and they're like, "It's all about free speech. It's a new era of free speech." It's not. It's about suppressing mine and your voices.
Yes.
That's their agenda.
Mm-hmm. Inoffensive angles.
Inoffensive
Passive
angles. They're like
conversations.
very offensive.
Background noise. That is all. You could call our podcast any one of those, and yet we'd get rejection after rejection.
It's like locking up Gaffigan.
Right.
It's like, what are you talking about? What is possibly offensive here? Gaffigan, if you're one of our 80 listeners, we apologize for lumping you in with us. Nick.
Yeah, I wonder if if anyone's ever said, like, he offends me. Do you think anyone's ever said that? Somebody's bound to have. I mean, it's insane to think it's like
when he says political stuff, because with Trump, he sort of,
he went in on it.
Oh yeah, a few times. He doesn't censor himself.
All right, so maybe he offended people there, but otherwise, it's like being offended. It's like, no, I don't let my kids watch Sesame Street. Never. I'll never let them watch it. Married with Children? Sure. What's that?
We weren't allowed to watch Simpsons when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Have you heard?
We weren't allowed to watch Roseanne. After one season of Roseanne, my dad, who just brought this up, by the way, was just like, there's nothing but crap on TV. We're turning off the TV for 6 months. And he just turned it off, and we didn't turn it on for 6 months.
Yeah, I don't think we were allowed to watch Roseanne either. I think the Roseanne was considered like coarse and like angry or something like that, and we couldn't watch The Simpsons because Bart was disrespectful to his mother.
Yeah, I mean, but really only for a couple of seasons.
I know, that's just that's just the gimmick in the beginning. After that, it's just about a doofy guy. A doofy guy working in a nuclear plant.
You know what show they always were willing to try? You probably won't even remember this show, and nobody listening would ever remember. But they were willing to try, but immediately turn off. Was WKRP in Cincinnati?
Oh, I remember that. I used to watch syndication.
Yeah, they turned it on, and then 5 minutes in, they're like, "This is crap. You can't listen to this. Go to bed."
Why? Just because they didn't think it was good, or they thought it was like problematic in some way?
Maybe.
My early years of stand-up, I can't remember if this was before my parents knew I was a comic or not, but it was around that era, early 20s, at my mom's house. And Amy, my brothers and I grew up watching stand-up at home all the time. Every day after school, we watched stand-up.
Where?
So,
what do you mean every day after school?
On TV, man.
Yeah, but did you have like VHS tapes or something? Where would you watch it after school?
Oh, the stand-up on Comedy Central or Comedy Channel, and then later Comedy Central, Comic View also, and I think there was even another one. But yeah,
okay, so you were older then. Okay, I thought you were talking about like when you were a kid. Like the only one I can think of was Caroline's Comedy Hour on
Caroline's
A&E,
Comedy Hour and Evening at the Improv too. But the Comedy Channel was like 1987, I think. I was like 6 years old.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
Yeah, so anyway, in my early 20s, or my mom's house, kind of packed house, everyone's over, and my brother's flipping through channels, and he stops on Comedy Central. Greg Giraldo's specials on.
What?
And Giraldo's one of the funniest people ever. Also, not dirty. I mean, he can be, but he's typically not. And on a Comedy Central special, he's not.
Sure.
And I hear my mom from the other room. What are you guys listening to? This is filthy. Turn it off. And we're just like, what is she possibly bothered by?
Right. I mean, it's like the guy who, I told you this, I think, like my first headlining set was at a hotel. It went okay. And the next morning, guy approached me at the breakfast buffet. And, he was like, hey, I just prefer clean comedy, like Bill Cosby. And
yeah,
I just can never get over like how little research he did. He did half of his research.
Right.
But I don't know, man.
I prefer
clean comedy is
nice
sometimes...
philanthropists like Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
So, Nick, has life taking you to any PTA meetings recently?
Yeah, it's funny that you mention it. You just throwing it out there, and it happened to be true. I went to a PTA meeting yesterday for my son, and man, teacher brought up something so on point where they're like, he's getting a lot better with transitioning, like going from one task to the other without being frustrated, and he's doing better when like he's not doing well in a game, he doesn't get as mad. And then they paused, and they all three of them at the same time like looked at each other, and they're like, except for Candyland. I'm like, yeah, that makes. Have you? I don't know if you played Candyland in the last 30
I'm
years.
not. I've never played in my life.
But it's a bullshit game. There's no game. I don't care what casino you go to where your fortunes can change faster and more unfairly than
in
Candyland.
what way? I never played Candyland.
You just are trying to get from the beginning to the end, right? And then you pull a color, you pull a card, and it's going to be one of like 5 colors. So if it's red, you go to the next red square. Purple,
Okay.
you go to the next purple square. Occasionally, you'll get to jump 2 squares.
It's
right,
just
exactly.
a card.
It's literally color recognition. But occasionally, you'll get a candy on there. And if you get a candy, you shoot to the like square where the candy is. Sometimes that's the very beginning. There's no skill. You can be at the very end, one away, where all you need is any card, and then you get a lollipop, and you're back at the very beginning.
That's upsetting.
Now, he gets very mad when he gets the lollipop in Candyland. I'm like, I understand.
Yeah, that's upsetting. That shouldn't happen.
It's like somebody taking your whole 401k away, like right when you're at the end, right before retirement.
I mean, it's like if you're playing Battleship and you just have one more hit to go, and then there's some gimmick in the game where it's like, wait a minute, all the ships move and they're fixed. You're like, this isn't a real game. War doesn't work like this. What navy has this capability?
Anyway, I hate Candyland. And that was most of the time I take the teacher's side. But in that case, I was like, well, you have to understand what a bullshit game you're talking about.
Yeah. You have to be like, have you played this? It's funny. There are games like that, that there's so many games and movies that I don't know because I just grew up with brothers. And I at least that's the only thing I can chalk it up to. Didn't know Candyland. I didn't watch any Disney movies when I was a kid, except for Jungle Book and Robin Hood. Literally the only ones I saw.
Okay.
I can't even remember what else. There's so many like TV shows that I hear people reference. I'm like, no, I grew up in the house. It was boys and my mom who loved sports. Like
we didn't do man. That sounds great.
Yeah.
People talk all the time about, oh man, these movies today aren't as good as the old Disney movies like Aladdin and Little Mermaid. I'm like, yeah, they are. They're a whole lot better. They are entirely better. I gotta tell you something though, man. And this is completely out of nowhere. I took the kids to a swimming pool the other day, indoor swimming pool. And you know how I always talk about how like my son, like he'll flip people off backwards, like he flips himself off, and kind of bends his hand around, like. And I see parents would be like, why can't our kids be like us? And it's like, they're just not going to be like us. They just keep on messing it up. And point made. I'm at the pool the other day. I'm in the pool playing with the kids and, pretty busy in there. And there's a little kid. He's probably 8, just sitting on the side of the pool, just sitting there. And out of nowhere, he just yells, "Cannonball!" And then he just slid down 1 inch. Into the water.
Like he's sitting on it, he just slipped into the water.
Yeah.
How old is this kid?
9 maybe.
An unfamiliar.
He yells "Cannonball." You turn around you're hoping for some like 300-pound person to jump in, and it was 50-pound soaking wet, just basically walking down the steps into the water. I'm like, they just don't get it.
So do you think this is a child who's unaware of actual cannonballs, therefore he's not aware that it would make a splash? 1, do you think he's just never seen an actual pool cannonball? Or 3, do you think this is a softening of our society, like Red Rover getting I can't remember what
like
it's
somebody
either you
pulled them to the
can't.
side and they're like, you don't actually have to make waves when you yell Cannonball. You can just
Yeah,
yell
no,
Cannonball and just
well,
walk in.
well, like how Red Rover's like banned from schools and stuff like that for being dangerous, and a lot of school systems have banned dodgeball. So it's like, do you think this happened? Like, is Cannonball getting banned at pools because you might like splash too hard, or like,
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that it was clear that he knew what a cannonball was. I think that
yeah,
he could have like jumped in like Cannonball. I think he could have dove in after yelling Cannonball. I
yeah,
think he could have walked in with a t-shirt on and a towel from the
yeah.
waist down and yelled Cannonball. I don't think he had any idea.
Do you think he just watched? I think, is it Sandlot where the kid yells Cannonball and
Yeah,
does a
yeah, yeah,
cannonball? You
yeah.
think he just watched that and he
Okay.
didn't
I'm
understand that
sorry.
you
I
have
keep
to
on
do
thinking
that
about
at the same time? And he thought any sort of
I can't. I mean, just the image is burned in my head of this kid, just like, and he's a kid, so he doesn't know how idiotic he just was. He doesn't
yeah,
know that like everybody looked, and he did the opposite of what he just yelled he was going to do.
it's like going into a bank and yelling everyone freeze, and they turn and you just have a kitten for them to pet.
Yeah, right. It would have been just
it
as likely had he said, "I don't want to get in," and then done a cannonball.
Yeah, that that
They're so
slide
unpredictable. These guys.
that slide maneuver you're talking about, just slithering off the edge, reminds me. There was a show in Echo Park that I used to perform at, and I know you've performed there too. Uh, and they
Yeah.
had the most hipster audience of anywhere.
Yeah.
Never did well there. I don't think anyone ever did well there.
No.
And I remember I'm sitting in the back of the room waiting to go on, and the guy next to me, I can't remember his full getup except for he had a very baggy like linen vest on over something that went down to like his waist, but he was also wearing a hat. You know that hat that Pharrell was wearing for a while? That's like, it's like a cowboy but stovetop. It looks like a cartoon character.
Okay.
So like the top of the hat is literally like 3 feet off his head.
Okay.
And he's sitting next to me, and just judging everyone. He's not laughing. And then
Those are
it's
my
sort of a
favorite.
high bench, the in the back of the room that we're all sitting on, where we're your feet aren't touching the ground; they're touching like a bar. They're resting on a bar. And he decides he's going to get off the bench. Instead of stepping down, he slithered. He slithered off it like a snake in this giant hat, and I was just like, all right. Seeing that made it worth coming here, because it gave me something to hate for the rest of my life.
I can visualize. I mean, I know the bar you're talking about. I forget what it's called, but
Yeah.
the last time I was there, which is ages ago, I got introduced as this guy just drove down from Burbank. And you know what? Not a rousing applause after you hear that. It's
Yeah.
just hate daggers.
I don't want to besmirch a business, but I will tell you this. The other podcast I do, the Baggage Podcast, very fun. So it can be serious at times. It's a podcast I do with friends. And it's 4 guys, very different backgrounds. One's a prosecutor, former a Marine Corps helicopter, whatever they're called. Not the pilot, but the other person who runs the
What, the
bird.
navigator?
No, it's like crew chief. Crew chief. There we go.
Okay. You
Yeah.
fit right in there.
A pediatrician, former EMT, and then Adrian's a former infantry, now journalist. Anyway, we had to do an ad, and the ad was for a non-alcoholic beer. Do you know how hard it is to pretend that you drink non-alcoholic beer?
I think you need some heavy duty acting chops to really to pull that off.
Luckily, one of the hosts actually loves this particular non-alcoholic beer, because the first time he drank it, he didn't realize it was non-alcoholic beer.
Okay.
The rest of us were having trouble. he asked me, say, so Ryan, do you ever drink a non-alcoholic beer? And I said no. And he goes, why not? And I go, because it's embarrassing. I was like, do you want to be a person at a bar drinking non-alcoholic beer? That just, I mean, is there a bigger cry for help than that? It's just, look, I have a serious problem. I'm trying to get under control, but I'm still going to be here. I'm still here. I still only get to see my kids a couple days a month. But because the labels are so clearly non-alcoholic. It looks like a cry for help.
Do they taste good though? Like, do any of them taste good? I think I tried one like 10 years ago, but if it tasted good, whatever. I'll have
That's what he said.
Non-alcoholic.
He said this one actually is very good. I've only had it twice in my life. Once I took a sip just to see, and I was like, it just tastes like typical bad beer, like typical beer. You know what I mean? It's like it's not good, but you'd have it.
Natty Light, yeah.
Like frat party beer,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The other time, have I ever told you the thing as a kid? Have I ever told this story on our podcast?
I don't know.
When I was a child and my brother made me buy beer.
Okay.
Have I ever told this story? It's probably 6. I've never told the story?
No.
Okay.
You had to buy beer at 6 years old?
Okay. So it's summertime. We lived in a small town. It's the 80s. Everyone just walked wherever you wanted. You know what I mean? Kids were free range. Everybody knew you maybe didn't know everybody, but everyone's familiar. I lived in a town of, I don't know, 10,000, 15,000, something like that, probably.
Okay.
And so it's summertime. Brent goes, let's walk to Food Lion. It's probably about 2 miles each way. And it was very hot. Pretty crazy walk for 2 kids, honestly.
How old are you?
I'm probably 6. He's like 9 or 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess he would be 10.
There's no way a parent would let that happen anymore.
We didn't tell my mom.
And but there's no way.
You're right.
You're talking about an hour back and forth with a 9 and a 6-year-old. The ages of my kids.
An hour each way. No way. Yeah. Probably an hour each way. Yeah. Yeah. So we walk down there, and I don't know what we're doing, And we go to Food Lion. Brent goes straight for the beer. And I'm like, what's happening? He goes, we're getting this. It was O'Doul's, right? He goes, it's non-alcoholic. And I said, I don't think we're supposed to. Yeah. I said, I don't think we're supposed to get this. And he goes, no, it's fine. It's non-alcoholic. We go to the register, man. I'm embarrassed, man. I think I'm going to get arrested. The cashier just stares at us. And she's like, I can't sell this to you. And Brent goes, you can, and you have to. And she said,
he didn't say that. Dude, no.
I'm telling
not
you.
At 9. Not at 9.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Okay, tell me, but maybe at 13.
No. Oh, and we didn't even live there then. And this was like summer after 1st or 2nd grade for me. And he goes, so he goes, it's non-alcoholic. We can buy it. And she goes, yeah, but it's beer. And Brent asked for the manager. The manager comes
9?
over. Yes, he asked for the manager.
Manager comes over. The same brother that chased that soccer player around the field that ended up being a police officer. So he's a bold guy.
He's bold. Yes, he's very bold. I once saw someone threaten him with a gun, and Brent just had he grabbed a, what's it called? Not a tire iron, but is that a tire? No, what's it? Crowbar. He just walked up to him with a crowbar and said, get out of here. And they had a standoff, and the guy left.
And the guy had a gun on him.
He had a gun, a pistol.
He could have shot him.
Yes.
And he walks up.
Brent told me, he was like, just go inside.
Dude, that guy is like a hero.
Yeah, that one was terrifying. Well, Brent's a mechanic, and he did work on the guy's car, and then the guy didn't pay for it, and he just left it at Brent's shop for a long time. And, someone broke into his car and stole something from his car, whatever, while it was sitting on the lot for a month. And Brent's like, it's been here for a month. Like, I'm not responsible for things that happen. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of the whole deal.
Right. This isn't long-term parking, man. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't just leave your car here indefinitely. And
that'd be sick if you could, though. That'd be sick. Especially in LA, if you're like, I don't have any money for parking, but I got money for an oil change, and it's going to sit there for 3 weeks. I'm going to Europe. So I'm not going to have $1,000 parking fee when I get back, but I am going to have fresh oil.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of brilliant.
So what happens is he talks to the manager. The manager's like, I mean, I guess so. I guess we do have to sell it. It's non-alcoholic. So we buy this, and I remember Brent and I are trading off carrying it back. I remember it felt so heavy because you're carrying the, you know, like the fold and the cardboard. And I'm yeah. By the time we get home, it's hot. And also it's around when my mom is getting home from work. And more context for this, my dad's an alcoholic. My parents are divorced, right? And my dad drank a lot. He's been sober for 20 years now, right? Thank God. But at the time, big drinking problem. So as you know, my mom's super sensitive to this stuff. So Brent throws the beer on the counter, and he cracks one open, and he waits until mom is going in, and then he comes to me and goes, drink some now. And he's making
me on your chest.
Hold it in my mouth as my mom is turning the corner to come into the kitchen. And my mom lost it.
I bet she did.
And she said, where'd you get this? Why do you have this? Stop, get rid of that right now. And Brent's like, it was Ryan's idea. He made me go to Food Lion. He said we needed to get beer. And I told him we're young. We should not have beer. We're kids.
He just sold you out. I love it.
And of course she didn't believe it.
I know, but it's great. I mean, that's a perfect comparison between our generation, whatever generation this is called. But like in our generation, that's a story like people at most houses, most households have had a story similar to that.
Yeah,
you know, very similar to it. Or like, you know, we left for 10 hours one day, and when we got back, my mom thought that we were in the other room the whole time. You know.
Yeah.
And now, the last time I heard Amy scream was when she caught my son watching a Twitch channel, which when I walked through the room was just like a Mario Brothers Nintendo version, old school, you know, Twitch where they're like talking about the game. And I didn't see any, whatever. It was just nothing. And all I saw was like Luigi's head going into a green pipe. I'm like, all right, harmless. And then she comes down 30 seconds later and screams like, what are you watching? You know, just screams it.
Yeah.
Probably to the level of your mom seeing you put back an O'Doul's when you're in first grade. And what Amy was yelling about when I walked back in the room, I saw that it was Mario and Luigi without any overalls on. They were just naked. And they were naked and they were like hopping up and down and riding, you know, the jumping turtles or the whatever they're called. Oh, Bowser's minions, you know.
They're grinding.
So it's just like this big original Nintendo Mario Brothers orgy game. Yeah, that's what we have to yell about. We don't have to worry about them trying to drink a beer.
Yeah, there's no Goonies like adventures anymore.
Yeah, it's really sad actually. Yeah,
it's almost like, I mean, Chris Rock had a joke on his first album, Born Suspect, and he was like, it used to be, and he was talking, he grew up in Bed-Stuy, and he was like, it used to be, you know, you can go from this end of the neighborhood to that neighborhood. And then it was, you can go from that end of the street to that end of the street. Then it's like, you can go from that house to that house. He's like, by the time the motherfucker's 12, he's just hopping in a circle.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't think any. Yeah, I'm thinking any of the kids. Yeah, they can't leave the yard.
They really, I don't know if
Well,
it really is a kind of a chicken and the egg kind of thing, because they're not leaving the yard because their parents realize they're not worldly or like resilient enough to get through whatever adventure they're imagining.
yeah.
Um, but they never allow them to do it. So how are they supposed to do that? Like, you're
Well,
telling kids simultaneously, stay home, but don't go on the screens.
right.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Exactly. Exactly. You need that sort of adventure that like, okay, I see here. I remember this from November. A mom in Georgia was arrested for reckless conduct because her son walked to the store on his own. Her 10-year-old son walked to the store in their town. And I can't remember how this ended up shaking out, but yeah, she was definitely arrested. I don't know if her kids were taken from her. It was like, dude, I mean, we were encouraged to just wander the town. Like we did live right in the middle of town, so that's one caveat to it. It's like it was an urban area, you know what I mean, relatively urban. But
Mm-hmm.
it was like, yeah, go to the store, wander around, ride your bike, go in an abandoned building, play GI Joe, and use the entire town. You know what I
Go
mean?
find out
Like you're
who a
doing
squatter is. Yeah.
recon missions. Oh, dude, yeah, you just like just drop down in bushes somewhere and just like spy on some people in their yard, and you're acting like you're getting intel. You know what I mean? And then you scramble away.
We'd play this game as before paintball. It was like laser tag kind of a thing.
Oh yeah.
And like a home one, like where you have a headset on.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah, we
looked
did the
like you
same.
were like a version of RoboCop. And we play it like at midnight, 2 a.m. in my street. And people called the cops on us a couple of times. I mean, but that was, and my parents were pissed that they called the cops. Like, what are you doing? What
Yeah.
thief has like this headset with a green light on? I
Yeah.
don't know. Just like, I'm,
Yeah, it is
I'm
weird.
shocked that it takes a village. I'm shocked that that saying even still exists, because we're
Mhm.
so far from that.
Yeah.
We're so far from like, yeah, go stay at the neighbors or go knock on the door. And we live in that area, like where they talk about how 15 years ago people would do that around here. Does not happen. And there are kids all
Right.
along the street. There's no village anymore. It's just
Right.
you parent your kids and basically try to block like the really sexual Super Mario Brothers stuff off of their paths. That's
Right, because
that's what it is.
it
It's really
it can only
sad.
change if everyone changes at the same time, right? It's
Yes,
not like
that's right.
you can't just start doing it. It's all the kids have to get out there.
Right.
You know what I
Or
mean?
else then you end up on the news. Exactly.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Right.
same thing of like, it seems like every other week you'll hear like, oh, this toddler was stuck in the car while, the mom went into John's. And you're like, do you know how many times my brother and I waited in the car? We
Yeah.
never went in. I didn't see a box of cereal until I was like 15. I was
Yeah.
always in the
Yeah.
car. And
It
she'd be
was
like,
one or the
read this
other. Either
Garfield
we'd
book.
either we'd wait in the car or we'd be the ones going into the store if it's just a couple things.
Right. I'm
My
not
mom
going
would
in
just
with
give
you.
me
You
10
can go
bucks.
in
Yeah.
or I'll go in.
I remember what my mom sent me to the store for a gallon of milk when I don't know, it was probably 4th or 5th grade. And I get the milk, I come out, and there was someone else in the parking lot with my mom's exact car, and the passenger seat was open, and I just plopped in, and I'm sitting there for a second, and then I turn and it's not my mom, and the woman just starts laughing, and I go, oh no, and she's like, it's okay, it's okay. And I look up, my mom's laughing too, she can see it.
Sure.
you know
Sure.
it's yeah, I just think like, yeah, so the elementary school, it was just like free range all over the town. I mean,
All the time.
seriously,
Yeah.
there was an abandoned pool hall that we would go hang out in and shoot pool. And
Sure.
like it had probably been closed for 20 years. And then in middle school, that's when we lived in DC suburbs. Even there, like I would walk to my middle school sometimes, even though it was close, but we weren't allowed to because you had to cross a major road to get there. But we'd walk, and then after school you just do whatever. We go to 7-Eleven immediately after and get a Slurpee, and
Yep.
then just go to like friends' houses that could be like 2 miles away from home,
Yeah.
and then go back. Or most days actually I'd walk to the Boys and Girls Club to play basketball after school. And you just walk there, and you're just like on your own. I don't know, man.
My daughter's been
That's
talking
the way
about
to
how
go.
like she runs for an hour and then her legs are sore for 2 days and she needs to rest. And I'm like, you need to do the opposite.
Yeah,
You rest too much. You're a kid. What are you doing resting? Why are you tired?
What's a
When were you
9-year-old doing
tired as a
load
kid?
management
Ever?
for?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not. You're going in. You're going to run around. But she's always like,
Right,
no,
Popovich.
growing pains. I've got to rest for a what? God.
I got to be ready for the playoffs, Nick. She calls you
Hey, I've
Coach
got a question
Nick.
for you. This is a mediocre transition, but I really want to ask you this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you it twice. So you tell me which one you want to answer. So here's the hypothetical. You get a whole full-on body upgrade. And by that, I mean, I'm sure you have some aches and pains with your feet. You've, gone on about for a while, your back, whatever. All of you basically have your body and organs and all of that, everything of when you were 28. Okay. But the only movie you can ever see and you can ever talk about, no matter what anyone else brings up, are rape revenge movies. Like
What
I
does
Spit
that
on Your
mean?
Grave. You don't know about that?
What are you talking about?
There was a okay, so you know how there's like home
I thought
invasion
this was going to
movies?
be an NBA conversation. What are you
No,
talking about?
no. There's how there are home invasion movies and stuff. For a while there were movies, revenge movies,
Like Home
a
Alone,
woman
you
would be
mean?
sexually assaulted and then she would go back and kill all of her assaulters. That was a kind
Oh,
of movie
okay.
for a while. So would you only be a fan of that so you could have your 28-year body? And that's all everybody knows. Like Ryan, if it's not I Spit on Your Grave, he's not interested.
I think it's so disturbing. I don't think anyone could live with it.
Just to
Okay.
give you a different version. So when were you healthiest as an adult? Would you say like 25? Like you had no pain, you doctor schmachter, insurance doesn't matter. I don't need it. I
Probably
don't need it on.
43. Now,
Okay, whatever.
no, I'm just kidding. If we're talking about like also physical fitness, like
Yeah, energy,
peak
yes.
peak
Stamina,
condition and no back stuff,
dunking Ryan.
probably. Yeah, probably. Oh, dude, when I was like 29, 30, it was absurd. I played soccer 3 hours a day. I had a game in Manhattan and in Hoboken every single day because I didn't have a day job. I was just doing stand up, and I would literally run like 10 miles every single day.
I'm going to rephrase the question entirely because we just made it even simpler, which is better. So right now, at your age now, at 56, you can you can for the next 15 years, you can dunk. You can go to the court, you can dunk. Just dunk whenever you want. You're like, it's awesome. It's got to feel great. You're dunking all the time. But the only movie you can ever watch for the rest of your life, or for the next, we'll say for that 15 years, is Uncle Buck. It's the only one that you'll talk about. If anyone brings up any Oscar movie, you'll say, no, I just watched Uncle Buck.
It's a great movie.
Like, you're not going to check out The Brutalist? Uncle Buck. And they're like, yeah, no, I liked it too, but don't you want to try something else? Like, that's all. But you can dunk. But that's the only thing you can talk about or see.
And I'm not going to get out of shape from watching Uncle Buck because every time you watch it, you will eat a giant stack of pancakes.
No, you even if you are out of shape,
Uncle Buck and then not eat pancakes after.
You can be out of shape, you're still dunking. That's how strong your calves are.
Jumping is not a calf move.
Awesome calves, but you can only watch Uncle Buck.
All right. Nick, what about watching with other people, though? You know what I mean?
No, that's the only thing you're going to watch. Or if you are watching another movie with other people, then you're just talking over the movie about how much you'd rather be watching Uncle Buck.
So if Rachel's like, you only watch this movie? I'm like, I can't. I really only watch Uncle Buck. Or during the movie I'm talking about. I mean, no, it would ruin my whole life. It would ruin my whole life.
But you'd be dunking. You'd be dunking all the time.
It would ruin my life. I can't do it, man. It would ruin my whole life.
You can't do it.
It's too much. Would you do it?
I'd certainly do it for a year. I could go a year without watching a movie other than Uncle Buck if I'm dunking. I would just go to the Y every day and just dunk all over everybody.
Just dunk all.
Yeah.
I would want that. I would have to talk with Rachel about that one before agreeing to it, because she's she's a filmmaker, and she's I don't know if she'd be thrilled if I said I can't watch movies with you for a year because I have to do that in order to be able to dunk on people.
I think she'd understand if she knew what it felt like to dunk. Then
You're right. Then she would get it. Anyone who felt that would go, well, yeah, of course. Then just do that.
Do you know how awesome that looks? It feels even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn. Yeah. I've never dunked on a person, but the one time I almost did, it terrified them.
Yeah.
Have I ever told you this?
Then you own them mentally.
Me and my brother, this would have been like late 20. I was probably 26, 27.
You mean the 9-year-old that bought O'Doul's and asked for
different
manager at Food Lion? Yeah.
We're playing 2v3 against these 3 high school kids who were talking a bunch of shit. So they're talking shit, calling us old, right? I'm in my mid-20s. He's in his early 30s at the time. It was really hilarious.
Were they any good?
I mean, they play for their high school or something, but so I mean, but we're in our like physical primes.
And you're playing 2 versus 3 or 3 versus 3?
2 versus 3, and we destroyed them. So just because he could do anything he wanted from the post, and I just never missed outside, and I was quick. So at one point they're still talking while we're leading, and I get the ball up top. It must have been off a long rebound or something, but 2 of them are under the basket, and I just went and I took off and I went up. And I missed it because I'd never even attempted to dunk on a person. I was always someone who, like, it would be, just like, you can dunk when no one else is around the basket. You know what I mean? I was never able to just like, So, but this time I was like, I'm just going for it. And it was one of those where it went off the back of the rim, but there was like enough power behind it. There was enough power behind it that's
almost better than actually dunking.
That's what I think. It scared them. They were so timid the rest of the game, and they left right after that game.
Did you end up winning the game?
Yes.
My best basketball experience ever, and I'm not nearly as good as you are, was in 3-on-3. It was always, you know how sometimes like you're running late for something, or you barely make it in time for whatever reason, and you just aren't thinking about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a great audition, you have a great show. It's the same thing with basketball, where my friend couldn't make it to this like 3-on-3 or 2-on-3 or something like that. You needed to fill in. It may have been 2-on-3. And dude, I scored every freaking point for my team. And I remember once, this will live in my brain. It may have been my last living thought. When I saved the ball, came back in bounds, saved the ball to myself, and immediately turned around and hit a 3 from the wing. And that may be the best feeling I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And then just not saying a word about it afterwards. And my roommate being like, dude, my friend told me you were amazing. I'm like, yeah, I was. But I only watched Uncle Buck.
This makes me want to play basketball again. I stopped with COVID. I've hit, I don't know, somewhere around 5 or more buzzer beater game winners.
Wow.
There is nothing feels better than that. Like, you can't even imagine anything.
You can't wait to go to school the next day. Just how many pats on the back you're going to get. Yeah.
I hit my first one. I was in I think it was in 5th grade. I hit a half quarter to win the game.
Sick. That's sick.
God, yeah. I think I would take this Uncle Buck thing. Just to, you have to. Yeah, you have to live this.
Especially because it's the juxtaposition, you're going out, and then if you can dunk, and they're like, are you old? Well, then shoot, yeah, you're going to be like, I'm 58. Because it's just even cooler.
I'm getting older and older in your story.
No, what I'm saying that you would like cheat up. Why would I if I can dunk?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And then you go, yeah, I mean, I'm 62. Yeah.
Yeah, I can still dunk. You mean you can't dunk and you're 19? Gee, what are you doing? Just watching Twitch?
I like it.
Yeah, well, I would absolutely do that, Uncle Buck, to be like at peak physical powers for you. I think people would understand.
I think you're right. I'll have to
Isn't Nick
pitch it
coming
to
to the Oscar
Rachel and
party?
see if
No,
we
he's
can.
doing his Uncle Buck thing. Like if it's available to the public.
I'll pitch it to Rachel, and if she says okay, we'll try to find a wizard who can
Dude, there's a friend
turn
I
back the
have here
clock
I've known for
17
like
years.
25 years and not from here, but has lived here for a long time and has asked me to go to a few Bulls games and just hadn't lined up. But we keep on saying, oh, we're gonna get a game this year. And he texted me today and he's like, Lakers, Milwaukee, you want to go? And I'm like, I'm never buying tickets to a Laker game. I like the Bucks fine. I like the Bulls fine. I don't really care. It's fine.
Oh man,
I'm there for the other team, probably, certainly for the Bulls. But I'm not paying for the Lakers. And he's like, well, I'll buy your tickets. I'm like, I'm not going to the Lakers. And
I've
it
only
turns
bought
out
Lakers tickets to see the Bulls.
it turns out that this lifelong Bulls fan is also a lifelong Laker fan.
Can't do that. You can't.
Right.
You can't.
And
You can't do that, Nick. That's verboten. I
then
don't
he
even
texted
know.
me top 7 players of all time. This is a lifelong Bull fan. Number 1,
this is
LeBron
not-
James. 2, Magic. 3, Kareem. 4, Kobe. 5, Luka. 6, Anthony Davis. 7, Bob Horry. And
Hold on. Are you hanging out with a 9-year-old?
Dude, I think he did that to provoke.
He's not a Bulls fan. He's a Lakers fan. You know I've played with Bob Horry, right?
What's that?
You know I've played with Bob Horry?
Oh, shut up. No, you did not.
No.
Now
I'm
you're going to
serious.
tell me you did and you dunked on him and you scared him.
No, recently. Dude, when we worked in the office in Glendale, did I not tell you this?
Dude, I went to that Y all the time.
No, not the Y. The 24-hour fitness directly across the street from our old office. Robert Horry used to be there like every morning at 7 a.m. That's when I would go. He and his wife would be there. And occasionally he would run full court with people. I didn't like playing with those guys because they're bad and rough. And I would only play if Horry was playing. So, yeah. I played with Bob Horry. One time
on his team or against him?
Now I can't. No, I was on his team because I would remember if I was matched up against him.
Yeah, put a body on, big shot.
Yeah. I asked him one time. I was like, man, because I didn't play with him until he did, because they were. It's like the type of guys who will get you hurt, you know. So they like slide under your feet.
I used to play in a league of rabbis. Yeah, they throw bows and they undercut you when you're going for layups.
Yeah. That's why I asked him. I was like, man, I can't believe you play with these guys. And he was like, man, I go from 3-point line to 3-point line. That's it, man. No jumping.
He's got to be bored. That competition.
Can you imagine how bored he is?
I mean, what are you going to do? Play Marco Polo with Phelps? Like how?
Yeah.
Is this fun for you?
It was really funny too, because it always seemed like he was at the gym just like to be a good husband, because it's like he's, what is he, a 5-time NBA champion or 6-time NBA champion?
Yeah, let yourself go, man.
There was no letting himself go, but it was like he's not working out hard anymore. He's a professional athlete at the peak of professional athleticism, and he's retired. He's like, I'm gonna be real casual about it. Because
that's a man.
Why would you? Yeah.
And again, you wouldn't see this in today's NBA. That's a man who probably lifetime averaged about 9.5 points, and yet is responsible for how many Game 7 game winners? That player in today's NBA would not be on the court at that time of the game.
Right.
But even if they were, they certainly weren't taking the last shot.
Right.
And they certainly weren't taking it in multiple different Game 7s.
You know, it's because
he probably only shot the ball 4 times a game his whole career.
The man had no ego.
Yeah.
Just cold as hell. Just like, I mean, no nerves. Only player I can think is a comp for him is Steve Kerr. I mean, obviously very different players, but just like a specialist who just does not run away from crunch time.
Yeah.
And just, you know what I mean? They can win a game for you just because they're just Man, I mean, God.
Imagine your nickname to the world,
Machine.
anyone who follows basketball, is Big
Big
Shot
shot.
Rob, and then not
Mhm.
having an ego?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine if everybody was like, you see you come in, they're like, there's King Dingaling, and they mean it, and then you don't have an ego about it?
Right. Oh,
There's
man.
Big Swinging Dick Ryan.
Yeah, and you're just like,
And
oh no, they call me that, but I'm just, I'm just trying. I'm just like everybody else, just trying to get by.
I just got some flowers for my girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
We're all
but
just
you're
doing
Big
our
Swinging
best.
Dick Ryan.
But yeah, I'm like, this dude, he might even have 7 titles.
He does
But
have 7 titles.
is it 7?
He does.
Jeez. And just seemed like the most humble guy. And he's just like, it really felt like, yeah, I'm at the gym to be a good husband. My wife wants
Maybe
to go.
it's humbling
and
just because he was him, and now he's relegated to playing against a bunch of, unemployed 24-year-olds.
Well, I think he could have played anywhere. He still probably could have played in that Calabasas league with all the retired players and stuff if he wanted to.
Oh,
But
what league is this? I want to go to a game in that league.
I got asked to play in it one time, and I was like, please don't ask me to play in this league.
Were you telling me
They're
like
playing-
Chris Bosch is playing in this league?
No, not Bosch. But the game I was asked to play in that week, they were playing Mark Jackson's team. Mark Jackson and T.O. I think they were on the same team. They might have been different teams. But anyway, it's like
I did a commercial with Terrell Owens once. That's one thing I did. Okay,
is he nice?
sorry.
He seems like a nice guy.
It was nice, sure. I was
Yeah,
I was
he
trying
seems
to like
awesome.
amp him up, and I'm like, this man does not need to be hyped by me.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, he's very
He's doing
thrilled.
fine. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a league. I know a few people who played in it. I don't know if they still do. They were like D1 players, and they're better than me. I can shoot at that level. Overall, all these guys are going to be better than me, but I can shoot. So that's why they wanted me to be there.
But if you had your peak
shooter.
Ryan dunking, if you're willing to put in some time with Uncle Buck, you could just really play with them.
I'm still not keeping up with it. Max, if Mark Jackson was 40, I wouldn't be able to dribble the ball 3 times.
Sure, of course not. No.
Nick, it's time to play Rank Them. Rank Them.
Wait, where did you land on my friend who says he's a Lakers fan but is also a Bulls fan?
It's not real. He's a Lakers fan. You can't be both. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. They're just polar opposites. You can't be fans of both of them. I'm sorry. I don't even know. There's no analog.
What if you found out that he was a Bulls fan until 90-91, and then they beat the Lakers in 5 in the finals, right? And then he became a Lakers fan. What a mind fuck.
I don't want to talk about this guy ever again. Nick.
I know, it's so frustrating.
Nick, let's play Rank Them.
Okay, please.
Rank Them is a game where I give you 3 attributes. This is a person you spend the rest of your life with. The 3 people are perfect for you in every way except for these 3 defining characteristics. So it's the same person. Sure, it's Amy, right?
All right, sure.
With these 3 characteristics. Number 1, eats a tablespoon of ants with every meal, home or away. So whether you're at home or you're at a restaurant, you're at a friend's house, she's going to have her ant supplement, live ants.
They're live. Okay. Mm-hmm.
She's going to eat live ants.
Is this doctor's orders or something? Like, why?
She just likes ants, man.
Is it
protein,
healthy?
Fiber, apparently. I think so. I mean, people eat them on survival shows. I don't know. Number 2.
Okay, all right. Spoonful ants. Okay.
Yeah. Number 2, wears some piece of Sean Hannity merch every day. Will not address whether it's in earnest or not. And, occasionally it's just Hannity socks, but the socks are, visible. But she always has something. It's like being in special forces. You're undercover. You have to have something, U.S. Army, just in case you get captured. So you're still subject to the Geneva Conventions, right? So she always has some Hannity merch on her.
Always. Okay.
Always. Number 3, is a fan of the Lakers, Chiefs, and Yankees?
Oh my God, that's such a good answer. Good question. So real quick, Spoonful of Ants, Sean Hannity memorabilia, and is just a complete bandwagon fan across all sports.
Lakers, Chiefs, Yankees. And let's throw Real Madrid in there just for for our soccer
in
fans.
The Canadian national hockey team. That may be the worst. Like, I just find that kind of entitled fan so despicable. I don't know that it's a question of character, and they can sit that the answer. I know what you would say already. You would say, she'd just say, well, it's just for fun. I don't take this as seriously as you. It's just fun, and I want to watch the best teams. I'm also an Alabama fan, and
right.
like
no
I
principles.
don't think I could handle it. Like I that's probably on me because I care too much about sports. But I would think it's an indictment on her soul.
Yeah.
Because she only goes with the Blue Bloods at all times.
Yeah. So how do you rank them?
I'm a Duke fan, except for this year. And now I'm an Auburn basketball fan. Like, it just switches to whoever's number one at the time.
Yep.
How do you rank them? Every day would be different. Like, she's 100% all Celtics, but then this morning she was like, yeah, Steph Curry had 56 last night. I'm a Warriors fan. Like, she just switches all the time. I could not do it. I don't care how great she is.
How do you rank them then? What's number 3?
That's dead last. I'd go in order.
That's dead last?
I'd go Ants would be the best.
Ants is your first pick, and then the Hannity stuff?
And then Hannity. Yeah.
Lakers, Yankees, Chiefs fan. All right.
Okay. I'm gonna get you
there
one.
You have it. I go Ants number 1, then I go Lakers, Chiefs, Yankees, then I go Hannity. I can't. The Hannity stuff would bother me so much. The fact that it's in front of my face all day, every day, I can't do it. The sports thing would really bother me, but at least there's something on TV. I don't know. What about you?
All right, okay, I've got to rank them for you that I just thought of right now. Here they are, and they're probably not as good as yours. Number 1, in every conversation with another couple, with another friend, and you're there, she always asks them what they would ask for if they found a genie in a bottle. Doesn't matter if they're talking, if you're talking to your folks or like a teacher or you go to town hall. That is her go-to question.
Excuse me, Senator. What would you ask if you found a genie in a bottle?
Exactly.
Okay.
Or genie, you know what I mean? A magical lamp.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is her go-to question. And you're not going to be able to go on to whatever other conversation you're going to have until that's addressed.
Mm-hmm.
And, she only asks you once. If you go out to, she doesn't ask you every day, but she'll always ask somebody else that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's number 1. The second is that she tickles you every single time she kisses you. So she comes in, gives you a kiss on the cheek. Honey, I'm home. She tickles you at the same time.
Just like a quick little, just a quick little,
like 5 seconds to where you're like, stop.
Where like in the ribs?
Yeah, ribs.
I'm super ticklish. Okay, what's the second one or the third one?
Ribs, armpit. So, okay, so the magic lamp. Every time she kisses you, she tickles you. And last one, she wears, everywhere she goes, she wears an I'm with stupid shirt. And the arrow is pointed towards you. And if you're not on the side that she wants you to be, she'll move around so the arrow is pointing to you.
I have one of those shirts somewhere. I got it in Spain. It says, Estoy con este idiota.
I like that.
I don't know where it is. I haven't seen it in a long time. So the I'm with stupid shirt, the genie bottle. What was the other one?
The other one was every time she gives you a kiss, she tickles you.
God, I thought that would have been last. Where's the I'm with stupid shirt every day?
Every day. Yeah.
I mean,
she's got a whole closet of them.
If it was occasional, that would be actually number one. But if it's every day, it has to be last. It just has to be.
It's not the same shirt she launders it.
That's her Steve Jobs outfit. She's like, I'm just trying to keep down on decision fatigue, so I just wear my I'm with stupid shirt. So that has to be last, unfortunately. And then the genie in the bottle thing, I think for a while you just go, no, that's the question. She just likes asking that question. But I think after a while you just go, but why did she ask that question? Why? So that's going to be number 2.
Your congressman. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's got to be number 2, and then number 1 has got to be the tickle, which I don't like. I hate tickling. What do you think? Have I told you about the time I tickled my friend Quincy and he screamed in a theater?
Dude, it's really repulsive behavior.
It was I was performing at a Make-A-Wish benefit in Boston, and I brought my friend Quincy with me. I remember it was the day of Derrick Rose's first playoff game. They were playing in Boston. Now I remember this because I was watching it in the hotel room. But Make-A-Wish benefit, and as they're presenting the giant check, Quincy and I are in the wings. He's like my roommate. That's, for instance, we're tiny. And he's very ticklish. And I was like, I wonder what you'd do if I just pretended I was going to tickle him right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like goosed his ribs. He screamed. The whole theater got quiet as they're presenting the check. They look over in the wings like, what's going on? We're like, oh.
Can you be serious for 10 seconds in your whole life?
Right.
Yeah, that's what they're thinking.
Yeah,
tickling, I'm not really for it. Or I just think that it's absurd to do to another
How do you
adult.
rank them?
Oh, my very own. I probably do the magic genie, the magic whatever, the magic lamp. That would be number 1. That's the most tolerable.
Genie's number 1.
Yeah. The I'm with stupid is number 2, and the tickling's
Really?
last. Oh yeah!
Wow.
Every time there's a kiss, it's tickling. It was just.
I mean, it's not
you
great.
Start to associate.
I think you're underrating that genie question, and I think you're gonna get real sick of that shirt. Look, guys, thanks for listening to what do we call it? Tea Time with Turbo and the Squirrel.
Such a
anything you'd like to promote,
question.
Nick?
No, I had to cancel so many things. I don't know when my next show is. I'm
there
going to
you
look
go.
into it.
I'll be in Montreal. I think it's March 21st through 23rd. It's at the Comedy Nest. You can get tickets online there.
Great club.
You can see the link on my website, ryanconnorcomedy.com.
When are you doing
book
that?
there or my special? I think it's March 21st through 23rd, maybe 22nd through 24th, whatever is the Thursday through Saturday there. Will do. And that's it. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. We appreciate it. Guys and ladies and other. Bye.
Just a couple of guys palling around, coming out of your speakers, a beautiful sound. They debate, berate, and have a laugh or two. Connor v. Cobb, for me and for you. La 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 la, la 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 la. Connor v. Cobb, for me and you. Ryan and Nick. Nick and Ryan. The Scoundrels of the Hour.